השביעי ליולי 2020, אני אשכול נבו.
Shalom, Eshkol Nevo.
Hello.
You are in Laguna, Israel. Welcome.
Welcome and happy to be with you.
Me too. I wanted to know at first how you're feeling and what are you feeling towards all what we've been living those last months?
Well, we are now in the middle of the second wave in Israel, so I would speak about two very different sensations. While we were going through the first wave of Corona, I felt in a struggle. It was a struggle to be creative in these very strange times, a struggle to be there for my students, for my readers. I felt I was struggling, and I felt there was something very creative about it. And that was the first wave. Then when it finished, it seemed like it's finished forever. And then it's not. And now it's the second wave, and now I have to say I'm sick and tired of it. I just wish it to end, and it's very difficult. Like bringing the energy back, the same struggle energy again, not easy.
Now, your next, your literature and writing are very important part of your life. And in your new novel, your hero is a writer who says that, I know I'm thinking, not to think, but to think like a boat. I know now that I write to save myself. From what are you saving yourself when you write, especially in these uncertain times?
It's a very accurate question. I think during the first wave of Corona, which started in the middle of March and ended in the middle of May, writing was definitely a salvation for me. I escaped reality into my own imaginary world. I was living in a parallel life, in the life I have created to myself. There was no virus, and there were really interesting things happening, drama and love affairs and memories. While in reality, we were locked down in our home, so I was free. I think for me, writing is freedom, liberty. I fell in love with my profession again during the first wave of Corona. So yes, it can be a salvation for the writer. I think also for the reader. To be saved by a book. I was saved by different books.
Which ones?
Let's choose the French one. Roman Gary. When I was, I think I read it when I was 16 or 17, and the book was called, in English you would translate it to kites. Things that fly. You hold them and they fly in the air. How do you say kites in French?
No.
The kites, like, you know what's a kite?
No.
Like you hold it's on the you hold it on the, for instance, on the beach. There's this thread and it's flying in the sky. What's the name of it in French?
Cerf-volant.
Yeah. So the book is called What You Said, and it's about the love story. It's Ludo, a French guy who falls in love with Lila, which is a Polish girl, and the World War II breaks them apart, and he misses her and he memorizes her. It's a book about memory, and the main character is a person who cannot forget. And I think I realized at very, I think since I was a child, that I had no ability of forgetting. I remember everything, especially emotional memories. And reading about this character, it was liberating. I thought, yeah, but I'm not the only one with this problem, and also he makes gold out of it. that's his way of maintaining the love story with this Polish girl, which he can't see for 4 or 5 years. But his memory is very strong, so he's able to remember her. So I thought, yeah, maybe this thing I have, which is not able to forget nothing, but maybe at some point in my life it would be fruitful, and actually it's very good for a writer not being able to remember everything. It's a very important thing. So, but definitely I remember the feeling of reading this Roman Gary book and being kind of saved by it.
Now, your hero in your next novel, who's coming out in France in August at Gallimard, is called Harayon Haron, which is La Dernière Interview. He's stuck also in his memories that are keep coming back through the questions of the interviews, but he's stuck in his writing. Why is he so paralyzed by his own writing?
Well, I think he's kind of the spider web. There's a spider web. He's the one who's created this web of lies. He's such a good storyteller that everything is a story. Even when he talks with his wife, he has to tell her stories. Even when he talks with his best friend who is sick and he's sitting near his bed, instead of just speaking to him, he tells him good stories. And at one point in his life, I think this character is caught in this web of too good stories. The stories are too good, and he cannot talk simple truth anymore. So for him, I think this is a reason that he's stuck. He's not. Storytelling has become a problem for him. Which maybe I felt that way at one point in my life. Actually, now I feel completely different, especially in this strange time we are living in. But I think when I wrote it, I had it in my memory. I had certain times in my life when I felt I have become this too good storyteller. I know too well how to tell a story, and I use this in situations that I should have been just telling the truth.
Now, you were speaking about the fact that writing can save you, can save people. And some years ago, you created with the poet Orit Gidaldi a non-profit organization who's called Sadnaot Habait. How is writing helping people, and how can writing unite people that are so different? Can you tell us about that?
Wow, this is, I could talk about this for hours because I have been witnessing it for, I think, 19 years now. We started teaching in 2001. We opened the creative writing non-profit organization at 2014. And we're now nationwide, operating nationwide from the north to the south. And whenever I visit one of our workshops, I see it happening. I see how people from different tribes of the Israeli society, Orthodox Jews and secular, and Arab and Jews and poor and rich, periphery and metropolitan, they are all sitting together at the same room. They are all vulnerable. I think that when you write, you are very vulnerable. By the way, writing when people write, they're also very beautiful because the vulnerability is there, and when I look at them, they seem so like they're like connecting to the child before they became this very thoughtful and calculated adult. And anyway, writing is for us, and that's the way our agenda, our school's agenda, is that writing is a tool to change yourself and also to change society. And so we work in small scales. We have groups, very small groups, 10, 15 people. But because we're doing so many groups, we have this, at least the ambition is to promote tolerance and nonviolence and curiosity towards the other towards someone who is different from you, towards his narrative. And anyway, for instance, just like this week, I'll give you an example of one day in a life. So this, like just today, okay, I was dealing with 3 different projects. One is writing workshops for the blind. First time, we were the first ones to do it in Israel, and now we're trying to promote new workshops for the blind, and they're working with very special tools. And you have dogs in the class, in the room, because they have to be escorted by dogs. So this is one thing I was doing today. The other thing was we are going to do workshops for people who are suffering from cancer, and we are going to enter hospitals and work with them. People who are, I would say, about to die, like Ari, the character in my book in the last interview, and the opportunity to write in this situation gives you the sense of control. You control your life. This was the second thing I was doing today. And the third one was the education system in Israel, like how to teach teachers how to use writing exercises in class with students, with high school students, whether it's an offline or Zoom. So these are many ways of affecting society in a positive way. Yeah, I'm completely passionate about it. It's not about, creating the new famous author. It's about how to kind of use writing as a bridge between people. That was long, but I'm passionate about it.
I know you are. Now, your character in your book constantly lives in a state of emergency. It's like your country, Israel, who also lives this way in this state of emergency, danger of war, danger of terror attacks. But suddenly you're confronted with this coronavirus, with this invisible enemy. How is it acting differently on Israeli people?
Again, I feel there's a difference between the first wave and the second wave. The first wave, people behave like it's a war situation, and we are used to coping with war situations. People were obedient. People kind of said to each other, "Okay, we will go through this together. We have to sacrifice. We have to stay at home, not see our friends, not see our parents, and we will sacrifice this effort because it's important to maintain our society." That's what the first way. Now it's a mess. The government is not knowing what to do, and everyone is confused and also exhausted, and also economically exhausted. And many friends of mine have lost their jobs, and while I think 2 weeks ago they were hopeful and they think, okay, this is just a phase, it will end. Now with the second wave, people just do not know where will this lead. So now the Israeli society is not behaving like it's in a war. It's like I think people are very confused, and the economic situation is now the main concern, not the virus, because it hasn't been as deadly as in other places, the virus in Israel. So people are mainly concerned about how would they make their livings. People do not enter bookstores here. Bookstores are empty. So who would buy books? There's no theater, no cinema. Restaurants are collapsing. So this is, the friends around me, I would say 50% of them are really, really anxious. And like the psychological situation has become more concerned than the pandemic itself.
Now in Israel, it's the contrary of Europe because the coronavirus cabinet voted for wearing masks again. Would you say that your new novel is also about wearing masks? But
Well, not that kind of mask.
No,
Who, who would think that we would wear these strange masks? I have also somewhere in my house. Yeah, the original cover in English is actually a mask. This is the original cover. The French is different. I love the French cover. It's very full of humor. But the original cover is Hebrew is a mask. So yes, it's about truth, lies, honesty. What are you hiding? What is, maybe the mask has become true because you wore it too much, too many years. It's definitely, I would say it's a good image, but it's not that the health-oriented mask, not the virus mask. It's more like a Halloween or Purim mask.
Why is it interesting as a writer to put our masks off, and what will you reveal about your hero when he puts his masks off?
Well, I try to be very honest in this book. Even when I was lying, even if it was fiction, I tried it that it would be honest fiction. That I would write about things that I care of. I would write about things that happened, that could have happened, that I want to happen. So in every answer in this book, because it's a book of Q&A, of questions and answers, there's something honest. And it was very interesting to see the effect of this book on people when it was published in Israel and in Italy. Many readers wrote to me that after they read this book, they decided to be more honest in their private lives. And sometimes it got them into trouble. Like I got a very amusing letter from a soldier, a female soldier. You know, in Israel, that the women go to the army too. So she's like 20, 19, 20. She sent me this email. Like, I read your book and the last interview, and it was so honest. I decided to be honest with everyone for a week, including my commander. And then it got me into trouble. Got me into trouble. He was very angry about my honesty. But still, she was very satisfied. So yes, it has this kind of effect. This book, it's like my metaphor would be, it's like, you remember the unplugged concerts that MTV had at the beginning of the 90s? That suddenly you had Eric Clapton and Nirvana playing like bare. They were naked, they're completely naked, just the music, without effects, without all the camouflage, and then so it's kind of an unplugged book, very coming from the heart, I would say.
It's also a novel about crisis, whether it's existential crisis, whether it's family crisis, love crisis, and political crisis also, which is going on in Israel right now. How is it influences deeply the heart and the souls of people?
Crisis in general, or the political crisis right now?
Both of them.
Well, crisis in general, as a storyteller, it's fascinating, because when someone is in a crisis, you can see his true colors. It's an interesting moment to look at people as when they are in a crisis. They're not in their safety zone. They react strongly, and many times they react very, very honestly, especially when they are in a crisis. Politically speaking, personally, a crisis, or when we have a government in Israel that I disagree with, that I feel that is trying to shut me up, or to shut up oppositional voices, or to threaten democracy, personally, it makes me angry, and it makes me more vocal. I became more political because I disagree with the government. So in that sense, I think the book was also affected by this sense of, okay, you don't want me to say what I feel as an artist. You don't want criticism. You will get it like in a big scale, or more in a more loud voice. I think the political pieces in the book are the most straightforward and angry I ever wrote. And it includes the attempts to shut up artists in our country, to erase certain narratives from our history, the attempts to shut up things that happened or are happening in the West Bank, with in the way soldiers are behaving or experiencing moral issues and moral challenges during their military service in the West Bank and in Gaza. So, like breaking the silence about it, I would say. So yes, it's also my American publisher just read the book, and she wrote, "Yeah, it's very political." I said, "Yeah, it's political in a very personal way, and it's personal in a very political way. And this is what you do with the literature, with the novel. If you have, I also write political articles. This is a different case. But in a novel, the political has to be personal. Otherwise, it's not interesting."
Now, this book is also speaking about the character who has a difference. It's about depressive people. They renounce to hope, but he has something else, which is called dysthymia. Do you say in English?
Dysthymia.
Dysthymia in English. And he never renounces to his dreams. He always has new dreams. What's the difference between those two kind of characters of depression and dysthymia? And what are your dreams? Why is it important to have always new dreams?
Well, I'm not an expert, but I wrote it out of observations and out of experience. There is the famous depression, in which, I have not experienced it, but I have friends who are going through depressive times in their lives, and it seemed energyless in a very sad way. It was sad and not easy to help people that were going through these phases. And while the character in the book is experiencing something else, it's called dysthymia, and it's a kind of a minor depression, but it's in a strange way. You fight to get out of it. You still have energy and hunger and desire inside of you. You are not happy, but you are constantly craving, like the famous K.D. Lang song, "Constant Craving." Actually, I wanted to put a quote on at the beginning of the last interview, from "Constant Craving," from the K.D. Lang song, which is maybe all souls. I forgot the exact quote, but it's like, maybe there's a big magnet, like a magnet. Maybe there's a big magnet who pulls all souls towards truth. And "Constant Craving," that's the name of the song. So the character and myself, when I was going through this time, I was constantly craving for change, for intimacy. And this is also his journey. He's not depressed, he's craving.
And so what are your cravings now? What are your dreams?
Right now, I want to finish editing my new book. I finished the first draft during the Corona. I was very productive, and I finished first draft, and now my editor has many remarks, and it's pain. It's like I have to deal with her remarks because she's right. Many, it's annoying, but she's right. So I'm working on it, and I have to. I want to finish it. I have children's book now. I'm working with illustrator on it, and I have a new book in Italy, which is a collection of columns I wrote for Vanity Fair Italy, and also collaboration with an artist named Pax Palosia, and which she painted, I wrote, and we have this book which is called Vocabulario de Desideri, the alphabet or vocabulary of desire, and many projects which are waiting for this Corona shit to end. Musical projects and collaboration with dancers and Nanni Moretti, you know that Nanni Moretti has done a film of one of the trois étages of my tre piani, of my 3 floors, and this film was supposed to be out in April, but and it was supposed to be a big thing, but now we're talking about January 2021. And so I'm craving to see the movie. God damn, it's in his computer and I haven't seen it.
I understand that. Now, your characters in your books are often dreamers, and one of your books is called Neuland, which is the ideology for a new land. Would you say that now in this world we need a Neu world, a new world to be built?
No, I'm not there. I don't. No, I miss my old world. I just want my old world back. I want to teach people without feeling that everyone in class is intimidated by the other, or they're all afraid in a way, or anxious in a kind of undertone. And I want to see my friends getting their jobs back and like smiling again. And I want my daughters to go to school, not stay at home. And I want to go to the beach without a mask, like wearing a mask on the beach. I want my old life back, and I hope that we'll have a vaccine or cure that will enable us to get it back. I'm not yet thinking about the new world. And if I'm thinking, this kind of world which is based on Zooming, I don't like it. I want my old world back. Sorry if I don't have this 22nd century vision, but I did not. Some people here fell in love with this kind of lockdown way of life, and maybe we should be more modest, and maybe we should be more spiritual and less consuming. I don't know. Give me my old life back. Give me bookstores which are full of people. Give me publishing houses which are not panicking and saying that they cannot publish books anymore because they don't have bookstores to put the books in. That's my concern right now. If you want to talk to me about the new world, maybe let's set a date for in Israel we say 6 o'clock after the war. So 6 o'clock after the Quran.
And now you had a lot of interviews, and this book is called La Dernière Interview, which I hope isn't our last one. But what did you learn through all the interviews that you gave? What did you learn about yourself?
Right. I think the most fascinating thing is not to learn about yourself, but to learn about the people and the person sitting in front of you or sharing the screen with you. I've been spying on your screen now and trying to understand what are these books behind you and what is this strange plant there, right? This kind of a strange plant. So And in Zoom, it's kind of difficult. We're limited to this square, but the best interviews I had in my life were the ones were the ones when I became the interviewer. Kind of ask questions, learn something new, heard a new story. That's the best interview for me.
Well, תודה רבה, אשכול נבו. Thank you.
בכיף. יצאתם מהבית קצת?
Not yet. I'll answer to you. But thank you very much for this interview, and please take care.
Bye.